As you can, Dominic.
As they both come out side by side.
Oh no.
And that is the end.
That's it?
That Mic check, mic check. Welcome everybody to round 4 of our Chase for Pace series, our multi-class Lancer Cup versus BMW CS Cup multi-series racing. This is the finale of our 4-round series. We are closing out the year strong with some really exciting racing. We have our top 4 from each class fighting it out for glory and bragging rights on this lovely Saturday evening as we visit the Nola Motorsport Raceway or Park. Sorry, I am definitely not your usual host, as well as a familiar voice who you may remember from our earlier streams, and when he gets a chance he can jump in and share his expertise in the realm of racing and motorsports racing. So I am Stephen Stewart, and alongside me today is Mr. Rory Daly, the man, the myth, and the legend. But just before we invite him to bless us with his intelligence, his motorsports intelligence, we'd love to just go over the quick championship standings as it stands for the Lancer Cup as well as the M2. We do thank all of our returning fans and avid watchers, and if there's anybody who is new to the JSRA and our racing platform, please join us, follow us, subscribe to us on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. All of our information will be posted throughout the stream, but just in case you don't see it, we are on Instagram at JSRA official. We are on Twitch at twitch.tv/JSRA_official. And on YouTube, where we will be posting all of our finished races and the videos on demand. We will be posting them post-race on our YouTube at JSRA 876. That was a mouthful, but that being said, Mr. Daly, how are you doing, man? It's been a minute. I've missed your commentary. Sorry that you couldn't be alongside somebody with a little bit more talent, but
Stephen, your humility always, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be working alongside you as always. At the beginning of the year when, we started with Colombia, and to see where we've reached at this point, we're interfacing with Dom Rep, Venezuela. As far as Asia, we've been in the media. You were on TV a few earlier this week.
I was very camera shy.
Nothing wrong with that. And the key thing is that the JSRA is developing sim racing talent. It's very good to see Michael Paisley back. I got to big up Kimani Eastman, Michael Eaton, Mark Anthony Eaton, sorry. And Kurt Moss and Jaden Harrison, who just finished a race. So I was watching literally about half an hour ago. So
he was in the CMRC race. Sadly, he was having some technical difficulties.
I unfortunately saw that. So again, it's unfortunately because of work demands and life demands, I have not been able to. It's actually been a more hectic weekends than I usually is at this point in time. But for me. But I'm always happy to be here, always happy to lend a hand, ensure that the JSRA delivers a quality product to all the viewers. And again, an absolute pleasure to be working alongside you any point in time, and you're really the man, the myth, the legend here.
I wish, but as you said, as you rightfully said, I am always excited to have you. Whether it's behind the stream or if we're going out on the road, we do have a little road trip coming up. With the ATL Auto Show. I know the JSRA will be there, and I am proud to announce that collaboration. We will have 2 simulators present for the duration of the 17th to the 19th, which is in a few days.
Yes, that's next weekend. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be, this is again a big step for the JSRA to be recognized at that level of corporate Jamaica by ATL, the largest dealer network in the island. To have that level of exposure.
Sorry to correct, or it's not saying the Caribbean, but you know what I mean. Yeah. They are doing a very good job.
Very good job. So for us, for the JSRA to be at that event with that level of exposure, because I've also been to the other two events that you were a part of, and to see the crowd response was absolutely amazing. You were at the JIE championships, and again, you literally had to just shut off the servers because of the amount of people there. And even small things, you were part of a marketing campaign.
Jeez, man, you with Frito-Lay,
Yeah.
you're really feeling
No, it's the truth. And I passed by, and again, literally, you were packing up, and people were still showing up asking if they could go on the simulator. So clearly, people are enthralled by this. You made it to TV, so again, clearly, it's just a growth from here. So again, I'm looking forward to see what the JSRA will deliver at the ATL Auto Show Revolution, and I'm sure it will be amazing for the fans over the 3 days. I guess we'll have to follow you on social media to see what the plans are. And I know everything's in the works, but I'm looking forward to it as much as I'm looking forward to this race. Unfortunately, I haven't, again, because of my own schedule, I haven't been able to watch as much sim racing as I normally do, especially these events. So I've just been getting the clips. Thank you very much for the highlight clips that you been doing now with the YouTube.
Right.
So I'm able to just go up to YouTube and your YouTube channel and just get the highlights. And the racing has been excellent from the start of the year in everything that we've done. So I think this is another element that we needed to add to the drivers, so that multi-class racing is a very difficult thing in real life, much less on a sim situation. So it's moving them out of their comfort zone, because you're dealing with lap traffic, and even if you're not racing with somebody else, you have to be aware of the slower classes or the other classes around. So it's never a situation where you can just relax technically, unless you're in the lead. Yeah. But even then, given how close the racing is, again, it's always a challenge, especially on a circuit this small. I mean, we're under a 2-minute lap, so it should get quite congested, even though we have a 15-second gap between the classes when they're starting. And of course, congrats on the 6th place in the class on the 24 hours event. I mean, I to drive on a sim, I know you guys were sharing duties, but to be on a sim for 4 or 5 hours, rotating drivers, again, shows the quality of the drivers, the commitment you have to the program. And just to tell you that, because this was during the JEI event, sorry. Right. And so you were at the event watching, sweating, while the drivers were doing their thing. So it's like a team manager watching from.
Like total watching.
Watching on the screen. You just gotta do it. But again, great to be here. Looking forward to all the racing again.
Right. No, sorry, not continue. I just
looking forward to the racing, and again, I also have to totally amazingly up to you and your brilliance. You've brought in a lot of overseas drivers. Normally we would interface with the Caribbean, but I think the JSRA's goal was to look beyond what was normal for us, the Barbados, Trinidad, etc., to bring in the Latin American partners and to see them here racing. We have Canadians, we have somebody as far as Asia. Right.
These are somebody from Switzerland yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, because the talent is limitless. And just to feed off of what you're saying, I am excited for the collaborations that we have in our building. Because yes, we're talented, but if we set the bar bragging rights. We are a unified, I wouldn't say unified entity. You know, we do all have the single division, and it's not just that races from like Estefano Barrero, but they're all, even though we don't have the number, I don't think we're the fastest right now. We are still relatively new, but at the same time, our standard that we've set with the drivers and the standard that the drivers have set has just set us apart from a lot of other organizations, but leagues and races, because we believe that the faster drivers will help us and we'll all benefit from it. So it's a long-term thing, and I'm appreciative for the guys who have been racing with us and stuff, and are ready to grow us as we step into this next phase. But that being said, Mr. David, the M2 class has started, and as I did mention earlier, we do have racers fighting for that top 4 podium, or top 3 podium, let's say. In the finale championship standing, Roger Robinson is leading by a total of 15 points to his closest competitors this year. So the two league heads, and I won't lie, I've been very, it's hurt my heart a few times to see that they're fighting and I'm not out there representing. We are reaching to that point sooner than later where I will be able to join, and I am looking forward to that point. I'm looking forward to it. But until then, we will enjoy the racing of our counterparts. So we will have Roger Robinson and Rahul Nazir fighting it out for first and second. The final podium spot currently is separated between Nicholas Donald 24 points and David Parker 23. So that will be a nice battle. Pay attention to, with the exception of Michael Paisley, who I think came 4th in his race last week. So he was 12 points. So he'll be, give or take, a below. So he can find himself in the mix as well. Anything. He was led to some really interesting and competitive racing, let's say.
Well, as you saw, qualifying has started. So what we see out here is that the M2 cars, Cup cars, are out first. They'll have 10 minutes to complete their qualifying laps, at which point the lap times will determine the starting order for the race. And then once that 10 minutes is done, then we'll move to the faster Mitsubishi Cup cars. So yes, everybody needs to put in. Michael Paisley has put in the fastest lap so far. So as you might have guessed, he is a wrench in the machine. You know, Paisley's always fast. You know, he can put himself where he needs to be. Not that there is any, not that anybody in the class isn't fast, but it's very competitive. And I know everybody. He's sort of been the fuel on the fire, because I think now he's going to add an extra. He's going to ignite the competition even further, because you know, maybe Roger felt that maybe he could like take it easy and back off, and
no,
you know,
well,
but then Paisley is there pushing everybody forward, so nobody can rest back here.
To add to your point, Michael Paisley has been the only person to go into the 145s. So, as you say, he could just be that wrench in the mix.
Whoa, there we go.
However, he wouldn't have any fight to the top 2 in terms of the finale championship standings. But who knows? He needs that every last point now to see if he can take that final podium spot. So, you're right.
You win a race against this level of competition. It's just not something that can be ignored. You know, this isn't tiddlywinks here. You know, he's racing with some top class drivers, and to be where he is should tell you the level of talent that he has.
As Rahul now does a 145.8, and Michael Paisley does go 500s up in Sector 1. Let's take a look at what's happening over there. Roger Robinson also setting some blistering laps in Sector 1, being 2/10 fast up purple, but he's not on the servo. So we'll take a look at Michael Paisley again as he goes around turn 1 into turn 2. You guys will notice, the audience, that alright, I'm hoping the mic is better now. I hope somebody can give us a little feedback there. We do apologize for that. But that being said, yes, you guys will notice, or the fans will notice, there is a lot of the track limits, notably at turn 1, turn 7, and turn 14. As you come around by turn 7, you will see it look a little dramatic, a little extreme, but at the same time, these are the real life track limits. So don't be scared when you see it. But yeah, let's sit back and let's watch some racing. As I notice, Roger is now back in the servo and exiting the pits with 3 minutes remaining. Can he get an indicative time? I haven't seen him in the 145s as yet. Let's see what he does, as Ruben Espinosa now sets the second fastest time with a 145.7. So let's see. The wrench has been thrown.
as expected at this point in time. It should be interesting. I mean, there are generally two types of drivers here. There's your tactical driver who's basically looking at what he needs to win, and then there's the driver who's just all out, I just need to win, etc., etc. So in your learned opinion, which one is Robinson? Is he the driver that's okay, I don't necessarily need to set a fast lap, I just need to make sure that I'm in front of who I need to be in front of to
Roger wants to win.
Okay, so Roger is the straight flat out win.
Yeah,
okay.
man. So you can expect.
So he's got under a minute now for his lap, but given he unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to do a complete lap in this point in time, because he's basically got these cars run a 140, not like a 149, 150, between 145 to 150. So we have a minute 20 left. So I would think that second he hits 10 minutes, he has to come off the track to give the Lancers the qualifying time, doesn't he? So let's see what he is able to put in at this point in time. And then, okay. And again, it's not going to be fast, because remember, he's coming straight out of the pits onto the circuit rather than being flat out crossing. So
well, he just finished his
so that's the 146.
So he should be on his flyer now. So let's see what this would be his last lap. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah. This is saying 46.2. And he almost loses it there. So that's gonna chunk in time. That's probably a second or so. So I'm gonna predict 148. A bit sideways there. These cars are tricky to drive. It's a BMW. It's rear wheel drive. It's turbocharged. You get into that power at the wrong point in time, you're gonna be drifter. So yeah, we have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't think Roger is gonna. So how is Roger is off the track? Boom.
And we now have the Lancer Cup qualifying starting, following Estefana Barrera, followed by Kurt Moss, Luis Daniel Velez, Jaden Harrison, Kimani Eastman, and Mark Anthony Eaton, who is still in the pits or just driving out. Let's say, I guess he's getting a little what's the word? Spatial awareness.
Yeah, you want. This is the thing you always see on Formula One during qualifying. They always complain how congested the circuit is. So what you're trying to do is look for gaps within the. Yeah, sorry. Little break there. What drivers tend to do is look for. The good drivers tend to look for breaks within the qualifying in the cars. So what they do is that they don't get held up by lap traffic. So I just want you to know, they say Elvis has left the building. Elvis has entered the building.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And I don't have to introduce him. That man is the voice of sim racing and the JSRA, of course.
Well, I appreciate that, Robert Daly. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chad Dillon, and I see we are in the qualifying session. Well, the BMWs have finished their qualifying session. I apologize for the lateness of my arrival, unforeseen circumstances. But looking at the timing sheet thus far, Michael Paisley looking to stamp his claim on the final round. We are missing a few drivers. Oh no, they're already in the pits, i.e. Rahul Nazir and Roger Robinson, the two championship leaders in their respective class. However, Roger with some work to do here this evening.
Yeah, Roger had a issue. He only joined the qualifying 3 minutes in, so he was only able to get basically two laps in, or technically just one. But again, it's going to be interesting. We know he's fast. He has a lot of time, so he will be able to I suspect he'll be making his moves through the grid as the race starts. But again, the main focus at this point is our Mitsubishi Cup cars.
Absolutely.
And we have a very tight points battle. And so people know these cars are going to be racing together on the track at the same time. There will be a 15-second time delay between the starts. The Cup cars the Mitsubishis are actually the faster car. Our esteemed El Presidente, through his weeks of months and logic and testing, has pointed out that the Mitsubishis are actually, while they're faster over a lap, the Cup car, the slower, quote unquote slower BMWs are actually faster on the straights.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to see is if you're ahead with 15 seconds, you should be fine. But if you make a mistake or have an issue, or you come in for your pit whatever stop or something, and you find yourself back in the pack with the BMWs, it's definitely going to be interesting. And as I said earlier in the broadcast, this is a situation that I think is very important for our drivers to be a part of, because it's something that drivers have to deal with in real life as well when you're multi-class racing, whether you're in a fast or slow class. Being able to understand that you're working with a car that has a different approach speed, or again, just an overall speed differential between that and yourself. So Eaton,
absolutely.
Eaton's, and I'll say this, Mr. Eaton's strategy has worked. He was the last out of the pit, and he waited a while, so he's gotten the clear air that he needs to get his lap time. He let all the lap traffic go forward, classic go-karting trick, and just let everybody else go. Get yourself the space you need to have the speed you want, and there he is.
Absolutely, and Jaden Harrison already staking the challenge to Eaton's top spot, taking provisional pole at the moment. These cars certainly give you all that you can handle in terms of carrying speed through a corner, and that is what gives them the advantage over the M2 Cup cars, as the difference in straight line speed, as you mentioned, is not that drastic. Actually, the M2s are a little bit quicker, but the speed that they're able to carry through the corners aids them in keeping that momentum up throughout the course of a lap. And as you can see, the difference is about 5 to 6 seconds depending on where you catch the gap. However, Jaden Harrison, Mark Anthony Eaton at the top of the timing sheets, and looking to once again continue their rivalry that they claim that does not exist.
They're like magnets, you know, north and south. They just keep being drawn together no matter what they do.
Absolutely. And
But
so
you know, it's good, clean racing. It's always interesting, and that's why you're watching.
definitely, and we see the drivers lining up to do their second runs. Estefano Barrero, about half a tenth down through sector 1, has done a personal best sector 2, but is a little off the pace, and that looks very wide to the naked eye, but track limits are a little different around this track, and so the drivers can use that section. Found a little bit of time in the final sector, but not enough to trouble the top 3. At current, we're looking at Jaden Harrison, Mark Anthony Eaton, and Kurt Moss.
Barrera not happy with that lap, went straight back to the pits,
And
came
we
back
shall
up.
be going again. And we are looking for what Kurt Moss could do. Kurt Moss has struggled a little bit in this series in the last 2 races.
Or is it that everybody else has gotten better?
Well, whichever way you want to look at it, it's not looking very Kurt Moss that you expect to see
He's gone straight back into the pits here.
in the last few rounds. I don't know if the street circuits had something to do with it. Maybe Kurt not a big fan of street circuits, or it's just these youngsters are finally nipping at his heels, man. They've been looking like they have the talent.
Well, I know he's been complaining about his age on the forum, but we know that he's just sandbagging. It's on street circuits, even in real life, it's a very different sort of view. You don't have the runoff that you would normally have.
Yep.
So
Your
it
reference
does,
points are a little different.
yeah, it does change your driving habits as it should. So, but we'll see. Jaden and Mark Anthony just added first and second here.
Absolutely, and we will ride on board with Mark Anthony Eaton as he is rounding, sector 3 to start another flyout. We will see if he can. Jaden Harrison has improved his best time,
Yes.
by a couple of tenths there, or is that provisionally? Okay, that's through sector 1. So we will see what he can do through the remainder of the lap to improve upon his provisional pole and make it a little bit more difficult for the drivers behind. Mark Anthony Eaton is about to start his flying lap, so we will see, or did he just complete a flying lap is what he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just checking with the chat. Is the audio okay? Are everybody able to hear us clearly? We know we had a few audio issues earlier. Just shout us out and we'll be good.
Absolutely, we need to be on point here, as I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be the final round, or is there one more round following this?
No, this is the last round. Everybody's got to put everything on the line here. That's why Paisley is the monkey with the wrench, because he's, like, as I said earlier, he's pushing everybody ahead of him forward because of his speed. So he's on pole. This could be a race win for him. He doesn't really care at this point because he hasn't been part of the series. But for everybody else, every point is important. So
Absolutely.
you're not just going to have to beat your rival. You have to try and get as much points and get as ahead of Paisley as
And
much
you're
as
looking
possible.
at P1 and P2 in the
There we go.
championship.
So
Nazir
Eaton
and
moved
Robinson.
forward completely. He took the last out the pit, got the fresh air that he needed to get his super fast lap time. So he's at a 39.4, and he's on pole.
There are still a few drivers out that can upset this. Estefano Barrera is about 2 tenths off, and Jaden Harrison a tenth off in sector 1. And there goes Estefano
okay,
Barrera to the top
alrighty.
of the timing charts, as we mentioned. Now we will see if Jaden Harrison can mount a challenge. He has about...
He looks like he's slowing.
Yeah, no, I think he's backed out of this. So Jaden Harrison will start from 3rd position, as he has backed out of the lap, maybe not happy with what
straight to
he
the pit.
saw. So yeah, our starting grid has been set. Estefano Barrera out of nowhere on pole position, and he will be followed by Mark Anthony Eaton on the front row.
And we have Jaden Harrison, Kurt Moss.
And Luis Daniel Velez and Kimani Eastman rounding out the top 6 for the Lancer Cup class. In the M2 class, looking at it, the top 2 in the championship, i.e. Mr. Roger Robinson and Rahul Nazir, starting well down the order. So those 2 drivers with a lot of work to do here to...
Well, it should be exciting. This is what we want. We
Absolutely.
want, if it was, and as I always quote, this is why we race. If it was just that clear cut, then we wouldn't have to do this.
100%.
He's always, the points leader is at the back of the grid. He's going to have to work his way through whatever he's got to work through. All the other drivers to get up to the front,
Yeah, and if that time is not representative, maybe he has some pace in hand to show us what he is capable of for the next 40 minutes, and that will give us an inclination as to what will take place in that class. So we will keep an eye on that race, as we want to see where Roger Robinson can make his way to, as well as Rahul Nazir, who is ahead of him and definitely needs to be ahead of him if he wants to mount any possible opposition to Roger Robinson, given his position finish in the last race at Surfers Paradise.
Well, this was the discussion that we were having. I was having with Stephen before you showed up. Is that, what type of racers are you dealing with, Nazir and Robinson? Is it a situation where, his assessment is that Robinson is just all out. Maybe Nazir's strategy is just, I just need to stay in front of Robinson. I don't need to push. I just need to ensure that that's the points gap I need to win the series. So again, it's strategy. Maybe we'll see how it works out. Maybe both drivers will just fight very much to the end. Maybe the other driver will just say, look, I just need this amount of points and I don't need to ruin, my race. I'll take what I can get, stay ahead of the crowd, and good.
Well, it will certainly be interesting to see how it plays out, because that is one way to look at it. But I do believe Nazir needs a few more positions than just one ahead of Roger Robinson in order to secure this championship. So we will observe that battle throughout the course of this race. Remember, the Lancer Cup cars will go first, followed by a 15-second delay before the M2 class gets going. So lots to play for here this evening, and in the Lancer Cup class, I believe the fight is quite close, so it could be as simple as winner takes the championship here this evening between Jaden Harrison should be, I think, in the top spot. I don't have the point standings in front of me, but we will definitely get that for you. And
just to update you, Mr. Host with the mostest, currently for the Lancers, Estefano Barrero does lead the standings by 5 points to Mark Anthony Eaton. Estefano currently holds 61 points with Mark Anthony at 55, Jaden Harrison at 49, and Kurt Moss at 46.
So yeah, it is as close as I expected. That is the difference between first and third position for any of those rivals that want to take that championship home. So we will certainly be observing that class as well as the M2 class, because there will be a lot to play for in the coming championship. So certainly we are about to get going in a moment's time. The drivers are lined up on the grid. Whilst we're waiting on the lights, we will certainly be looking for what these rivals can do here this evening.
Well, and to Spark 197, yes, 3/4 of the field is Jamaican, and that's the point of the whole situation. We want Jamaican drivers to have as much experience and exposure as possible. Yes, we are always welcome to international drivers, but at the end of the day, the JSRA is here to develop Jamaican drivers.
We have the lights, they are about to go out, and the drivers are going. And we see Estefano Barrero get away cleanly as
Behind him, Mark Anthony Eaton does manage to stay in second position. Jaden Harrison there with a move.
There we go.
Oh, getting close there to Mark Anthony Eaton and loses it.
Ouch.
And there goes Jaden Harrison off into the grass. Mark Anthony Eaton and Estefano Barrero ahead of the rest of the field. Jaden Harrison,
I think who was
well
that that
out
just made
of
that
position.
mention? So Daniel Velez made an issue, had outbraked himself into that corner,
Absolutely.
and Kurt Moss took full advantage of it and just zipped around. We know Harrison is fast, but he has a time to make up. So
Absolutely, and there is events taking place behind in the M2 class, with Michael Paisley getting away, and Raul Nazir finds himself up into second position in his class, followed by Davil Park and Ruben Espinosa.
So clearly Nazir's push is, I need to win this thing. Clearly he's not gonna just take the points here. He's gonna hunt down.
Absolutely, but I do not see Roger Robinson. It seems he may have been disconnected, and that is a problem. So Roger has been having issues with his local networks. I'm not sure if that's what's happening with him, but we will check that and let you know as soon as possible. And that makes this championship a lot more drastic here this evening, as
Drama.
he has rejoined, but he is now 38 seconds behind the rest of the field, and that certainly is going to be a tall task.
Well, here's my view. It's not over till the extremely fat lady sings. So I think he just needs to join, crack on. He might find himself harassed by the Lancer cars, but he's got to, because anything can happen at the front of the field. You don't know what's going to happen. So just join in, race as best as possible.
Absolutely, and I guess once he gets lapped, he should be clear to show his pace. But meanwhile, we are riding on board here with Estefano Barrero, who leads the Lancer Cup class, and Mark Anthony Eaton hot in pursuit, trying to take that top spot away from Estefano Barrero. This could be the fight for the championship between these two drivers. Mark Anthony Eaton applying the pressure to Estefano Barrero, trying to get him out of position to make a move. And these drivers will certainly have to think about the war of attrition, because if you start to use your tire life too quickly, you will be in trouble towards the latter stages of the race. Or maybe Mark Anthony Eaton has another blinder of a strategy for us. We will see, but right now, Eaton in pursuit of Estefano Barrero.
I can see that Barrera is already caught up with, I'm going to assume that's Robinson.
That is
He's
Robinson.
pulling over slowly on the straight. He's going to let all the cup cars past him.
And that is already trouble for Roger Robinson, who started this race well after he was supposed to, and that is going to put him.
Harrison reset the fastest lap that was just set by Barrera. So Harrison is pushing on, trying to ensure that he does have a dog in this fight. We still have 36 minutes, so anything's possible. Let's say, what's that working out? We're doing 1:30 a lap. That's too much math for my brain at this point in time. But should be interesting.
We will certainly see how that rolls around. Jaden Harrison with some work to do, 2 seconds off Kimani Eastman, and with some catching to do in order to get back into the fight ahead. All the while, Mark Anthony sticking with Estefano Barrero.
So the big key here for Robinson is not to get lapped by Paisley, who is 40 seconds. No, that would be 40. That'd be 30.
30 seconds.
30 seconds behind him. So as long as he keeps keeps up the pace.
Absolutely, we will observe what happens with that as we proceed throughout this race. But the fight here, Luis Daniel Velez seems to be very close to Kurt Moss, or he was very close to Kurt Moss. Notch, oh, there he is. And they are...
Sees that Jaden Harrison in the background there, just...
Yeah, Jaden Harrison has caught this
come back
duo.
in. Yeah, so Jaden's not out. He made a mistake, but again, I always admire his grit. You know, he's got the pace. He was there. He's just like a shark, just stalking his prey. It will take some sort of pit strategy to probably get up in the top three, but you know, I suspect.
Well, pit stops aren't mandatory, so any decision to make a pit stop this evening will purely be strategic, and that will give us an idea of what these drivers.
Well, you speak about tire life. Are the tires able to last the whole race?
Yes, but with some care and nurturing.
Exactly. So if you're being pursued completely,
then
then
if
you
you're
have
pushing flat out, you will certainly be in some tire life trouble.
Yes.
Towards the latter stages, we saw that in round one with Kurt Moss, Estefano Barrera able to preserve his tires a little bit better than Kurt, and when Kurt was caught, he had no response to Estefano Barrera, and that is how we get to this round of the championship and find Kurt Moss at the top of, Estefano Barrera at the top of the standings. All the while, Eaton still hot in pursuit, but maybe kind of thinking about the long game here. Sitting too close in the slipstream, of Estefano Barrera might be harming his plans for his tires here this evening, so he might have to dial it back just a smidge in the hopes of keeping his tire life going. Daniel Velez is all over the back of Kurt Moss here, and we will see if he has a plan to attack Kurt Moss here. The two almost pushing each other through that section of the track.
Well, we know Moss won't give up, so he's not happy where he is, but clearly there's some sort of strategy there, I would suspect, because he doesn't seem to be. But then again, you mentioned that he's been having a bit of an issue with these cars on various tracks. So, is it a situation where this is simply a strategy?
Well, this is more his preferred style of racing, as this is an open circuit as opposed to a street circuit. So
here we go. As commentator's curse, he took the lawnmower race line, as I call it.
Absolutely, but still ahead of Luis Daniel Velez, and we will see if he can stay that way as we proceed throughout the race. 32 minutes to go, and already we are seeing some fights pick up. We will give a check-in now on the M2 class. Michael Paisley still leads Raul Nazaire, 7 seconds in it. Ruben Espinosa and I believe that is David Park are hot in pursuit of Mr. Nazaire, who is holding on for dear life right now. This could be the points he needs to kind of cement himself in this championship. Not quite sure what the differential is, but definitely needs to stay ahead of that pack if he wants to have any foot in the door, with Roger Robinson sitting 25 seconds away from being lapped by Michael Paisley.
Yeah, well, as I said, you gotta do what you gotta do. Better to do something than do nothing.
Absolutely, and we are checking back in. Mark Anthony Eaton seems to have fallen away.
Yeah, but we see that Moss and Velez are, as you said, they're bumper to bumper. So,
absolutely, 6/10 in it still.
Yeah, we saw for a bit of the in-car there. You can see the Velez is there in the rearview mirror. Again, the rather wide line.
I believe that's some of these drivers seem to take that line through that corner, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind taking.
Maybe you don't have a choice. You're trying to turn in at that speed, and the car is just saying, "Hey, no, definitely no. Been there myself." So.
Well,
I don't think grass is the preferred line, but I also don't think you wanna. There we go. So clearly there's some sections here where Kurt and Velez are faster than each other, and you can see that back and forth just
Well, all the while, Jaden Harrison, these two drivers tailing each other so closely, playing him back into the equation. But Daniel Velez looks to have a run on Kurt Moss here, steps out of the slipstream, and on the very long run down this straight, side by side, and sweeps around the outside to take that position. Can he hold it together? Yes, he can.
There we go.
And Kurt Moss finds himself losing third position to Luis Daniel Velez, and I'm sure he will be kicking himself for leaving the door open there.
I don't think he had a choice. That was you had you got the speed, you got the race line. You just have to give it up at some point in time. But then we know Kurt, he has the talent. He's probably formulating a return at this point in time.
Absolutely, because he is sticking with Daniel Velez through
There
this
we
section,
go.
and he is right in the slipstream of Luis Daniel Velez, and looks to be, my goodness, there is not much space between them,
There we
and
go.
looking left, looking right, trying to find somewhere to stick his nose in order to make that move. But Daniel Velez, ooh,
Whoa!
that was aggressive there from her.
But that's what you got to do sometimes. You gotta find out the lines, find out where you can overtake. But then again, the thing is now using all that time, using all that energy, you're fighting each other, and you're bringing back Jaden into
Jaden Harrison right there, looking to take advantage on any mistake made by these two drivers to capitalize on the fight here ahead of him. He is now well within reach of Kurt Moss, with less than a second between them, and all the while Kurt will have to be thinking about how he's gonna strategize here. Is it attack or defend? Because he is sitting right in the middle of this three-way battle for the final podium position. For the two drivers ahead, Estefano Barrera has seemingly opened the gap to Mark Anthony Eaton, and we will see how that progresses throughout the remainder of this race. Maybe Mark Anthony Eaton doing a bit of tire saving at this stage of the game.
Yeah, because I'm not. While I am familiar with the track, I know it's a very short track in relation to a lot of others. The situation here is that I don't think it technically, and because a pit stop is not mandatory, I don't think any pit stop to switch to better tires would be an advantage here. You'd lose so much time.
Absolutely.
So maybe you're right. The situation is just conserve your tire life and attack later when you perceive the other person has less tires than you.
Absolutely, but Jaden Harrison is now finding himself in prime position to attack Kurt Moss.
There we go, my God. He is right up with it.
And Kurt Moss will now have to take that attacking that he was doing before and turn it into some defense here to fight off the charging Jaden Harrison, trying to make amends for his mistake on lap one. And that's been a characteristic theme for Jaden Harrison throughout this championship. He seems to have had quite a few races where lap one incidents have put him well out of position, and he's had to fight his way back into the mix. But right now he is right there with Kurt, and that was close. There could have been a bit of contact there, but it was managed, it was avoided.
So we had a crash with
Yeah, Rahul Nazir making some contact with with Ruben Espinosa, it seems, and sees him tumble down behind Davil Park. So now in fourth position, ahead of Nicholas Donald. But we are still on board with Jaden Harrison and Kurt Moss, and a bit of contact made between the two, and Jaden Harrison slowing up to allow Kurt to resume that position. But I think now they will both be costing each other some time here, giving Luis Daniel Velez a chance to open up that gap. He has cleared off 4 seconds into the distance. All the while Jaden Harrison, with a little bit more pace in hand, cannot express that pace whilst being held up by Kurt Moss, who seems a little bit slower at this stage of the game. So we will keep on board with this battle whilst we observe these two drivers going at it.
So back to the BMW Cup cars. Now, of course, it might look like, hey, this situation is not working out. But if you look at it right now, Robinson is behind significantly, but Nazaire is nowhere near the top of the leaderboard where he needs to be.
Whilst we were watching there, Jaden Harrison, Kurt Moss seemed to have pulled off into the pits, maybe changing his strategy, giving Jaden Harrison that position.
I would not have thought that. Let's see what the pit stop is like, because are you going to be able to come out in time?
Well, we will observe where he rejoins the pack. He was right around the Jaden Harrison mark, so we will see where he comes back in relation to Jaden Harrison. But yeah, there is a fight on here with David Park and Ruben Espinosa in the Cup car, the BMW Cup cars, with Raul Nazaire sitting right there, maybe trying to get back into that mix after his early mistake. David Park putting the pressure on Ruben Espinosa to try and get that position from him. That would be for P2 in their respective class, and we will continue to observe this battle now as they are rounding the final few corners.
Whoa!
And a little bit out of position there, David Park having to back out, and that gives Rahul Nazaire a chance to get a nose into this fight as they are rounding the final corner to head on to start finish straight. Nazaire looks to have gotten a better drive out of that corner and will be taking that fight to Devil Park for that position.
Devil went a bit too shallow into that first corner. He should have gone all the way out and used the race line.
Absolutely, and Rahul Nazaire now pulling out of the slipstream, and later on the break than Devil Park goes through the corner, but runs a little bit wide and inside line. They're closing the door.
Yes, as he should have.
That was aggressive there by
exactly like a bad elevator, just bam.
So running a little bit wider and reopening the door for Rahul Nazaire, who cannot capitalize. These rivals are giving it everything at the moment to secure a podium position, but this is giving Ruben Espinosa a bit of breathing room whilst this fight is ongoing. He is clearing off about 2 seconds ahead of these two drivers, but Devil Park is under some heavy pressure here from Rahul Nazaire for that final podium position in their respective class.
Oop. Little contact there.
They are side by side once again.
Friendly Canadian nudge.
but Devil with the inside line.
That's it. Stops the crisscross.
Absolutely, and closes the door once again.
There we go. Making full use of the curbs, running as wide as possible.
This battle is getting intense here between these two drivers.
And a a little bit of drifty there. I said these BMW Cup cars, rear-wheel drive, turbocharged BMW. You can get a bit squirrely if you try to get a bit too happy on the accelerator.
Absolutely. And Rahul Nazaire says, "Thank you very much, and I will take that position." And he presses on now. Needs to clear off from Devil Park here to try and take the fight back to Ruben Espinosa, 2.3 seconds up the road. So we will see if he can get back into that fight, but Devil Park not giving it up just yet. Estefano Barrera now hitting the lap traffic of the lead cars in this class.
Okay, it's about to get spicy, as the kids say.
Absolutely, and with that lap traffic, it will certainly... Did Mark Anthony Eaton also take a pit stop? He now finds himself behind Jaden Harrison, down in 4th position.
I wasn't paying attention. We were so engrossed in the other range. I guess maybe the tire situation that's what it is. As I said, I would not have thought pitting in such a short track would have been a significant strategy. And as both you and Stephen had said, the tires would probably last the entire...
Yeah, they do last the race distance, but you will certainly be struggling for grip towards the end. So maybe Mark Anthony Eaton thinking more of attrition here with the better tire life to the end of the race with about half race distance to go. Maybe the advantage is significant enough that he thinks he can take the fight back. We will observe the lap times as we progress here. Estefano Barrera doing a 1:41.5 the last lap.
So the shift to your tire would be based on the fall off on your lap time. So if your delta between yourself and the car ahead of you is increasing, maybe the calculation is that the time I would lose staying behind him, I can just go into the pits, get some tires, and I'll eventually make up that time. But then there's two issues here. Is Barrera going to pit, or is he going to try and run the entire race on this set of tires, which will then give these guys a significant chance, because one, being on a fresher set, they'd be able to set faster laps than him while he's in the pits. And even if he doesn't pit, then now he's got worse tire life than them. Okay.
Ooh, a little bit of a drift there from Mark Anthony.
Well, you got to warm up the tires somewhere. But
well, Mark Anthony Eaton's last lap on 140.3, Estefano's last lap on 141.7, so 1.4 seconds gained over the last lap, but that slide is going to cost Eaton some time on this lap, so we will see what the time difference is as he progresses through this stint. Him and Kurt Moss, the only drivers to pit so far, and we will continue to observe the difference in pace. Kurt Moss also in the 140s, him and Eaton, the only two drivers still doing 140s in this race. The other drivers are doing 141s and 142s, so certainly there is a pace advantage to having taken that pit stop. As to whether or not it will be significant enough to close the gap to the drivers ahead, we will see in a matter of 18 minutes.
Well, this is the last race. As I said, everybody is doing... Barrera just hit something. Environment, maybe that's the wall.
Yeah, I think that's the wall along start finish straight. He does seem to run a little bit wide there and makes a bit of contact with that wall.
But
yeah, all the while in the class ahead, Rahul Mazer still somewhere in the mix trying to catch Ruben Espinosa for his championship fight. Davil Park.
Or maybe that's where the contact came from. He was trying to overtake the BMW Cup car, and maybe he made a bit more contact, or to go a lot wider than he expected. But yeah, they're all in the middle of this thing.
And Kurt Moss there getting ahead of Kimani Eastman. Again, difference in tire life, and Kurt Moss showing that the pace that he now has.
So is that him running? Yes. So he's running with the other person that's pitted, that's Eaton in front of him. So
absolutely.
Are they going to fight with each other, or are they going to push and pull each other forward?
Well, Eaton 9.5 seconds ahead, so that's not yet a concern for Mark Anthony Eaton, who seems to have more pace than Kurt Moss around this track. So Eaton would be looking ahead to Jaden Harrison, who is about 7.6 seconds up the road, and Mark Anthony Eaton has taken about 4 seconds out of Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison's last lap a 143.6 marks a 140.8. So certainly there is a pace advantage here, and I'm not sure if that was a mistake from Jaden Harrison that resulted in that difference in pace. Jaden Harrison is about 2 corners up the road, so we will see how that progresses on as we continue to ride on board. But the fight between Kimani Eastman and Kurt Moss continues. Kimani Eastman regaining that position from Kurt Moss there.
Interesting. I don't know what happened there.
Kurt Moss seeming to struggle a bit here, but Jaden Harrison has now taken a pit stop, and that puts Mark Anthony Eaton back into the podium paying positions.
Again, you would think a track this short, nobody would take a pit, but clearly the tire differential is that significant that people are willing to take the chance.
But it's also very late in the game for Jaden Harrison to be taking that pit stop.
Well, maybe the car is undrivable. You just got to do what you got to do. But notice, you would think the Cup cars, the BMWs, not even considering the pits. The Kimani and Kurt Moss battling.
And Moss there on the outside taking that position away. But
he has the race line. Does he make it? Yes,
and
he does.
With a little bit more grip in the tires, perhaps can brake a little bit later than Kimani Eastman.
And he did that on the outside.
Yep, and makes that move stick. So certainly we will be observing the gap now between Mark Anthony Eaton and Luis Daniel Velez, about 13 seconds. That's a tall ask in 15 minutes. That is a second a minute needing to be gained roughly in order to catch that driver. But Estefano Barrera looks to be comfortably ahead in this championship, and maybe he can cruise to the line and he should be fine.
He's our Jensen Button, who's very good on tires, apparently.
Well, clearly.
Because if he's gonna, every 2 other people have pitted, so if he's made his tires last at this point, but you can see the drop off on his lap time is, he's there.
Absolutely. Daniel Velez also in the 143s and Estefano Barrera in the 142s, all the while Mark Anthony Eaton still doing a very consistent 140.8 every lap he has done. And that now he just crossed the line again, and that lap time was a 141.3, so a little bit slow, about 5/10 slow, but still a second on the leader and about 1.5 seconds on the driver in second position. So certainly an advantage here in tire life, and whether or not the 2 drivers ahead can make them last the remainder of the race distance, yet to be seen.
And what's also interesting to me is that despite the size of the track, we're not seeing that level of integration between the classes that I thought we would have seen. Everybody is still relatively close enough within their own grouping to be fighting with each other.
Absolutely, and the fight between Rahul Nazir and Davil Park is still on for that final podium position in their respective class. Park putting the pressure on Nazir at this stage of the game, and will he be looking to make a move here? These 2 drivers,
with a drifty there, but almost had it.
absolutely, and they're about to be lapped by Luis Daniel Velez, and they will have to figure out how to let him by without costing themselves significant amount of time here. Where will they decide to do it? Probably into turn 1, it seems, as they should be quicker down the straight. Does Davil Park have enough to be ahead by the time they get to the end of this straight? It does not seem that way. He is a little too far behind.
Is El Presidente sort of retain his rule of not flashing the headlights?
Yes, that certainly has been retained,
sorry,
and I think
yeah.
they are letting him by, but Davil Park trying to take advantage there with a cheeky maneuver, trying to use, and it cost him there. Runs a little bit wide and needs to let that driver through. That is Ruben Espinosa, the driver in second position, and this is costing him time to Mark Anthony Eaton.
Shouldn't the game be giving them blue flags at this point?
It certainly should. And Ruben Espinosa clears 1 and has 1 more to clear, and Rahul Nazir needs to find a very...
I think we will be going to the steward room after this.
Well, I guess that's for the driver to lodge a complaint to the steward for the steward to review it. However, that has cost Davil Park some time, and Rahul Nazir needs to let him by in a manner that is not going to cost him some time, and that's a good place to let him through. Not much time lost, and stays ahead of Davil Park, who is still putting the pressure on him and almost racing Ruben Espinosa there. Clearly the BMW a lot better on their tires than the Lancer Cup cars.
Yeah, because I noticed nobody, well then again, maybe nobody's smart enough to do the strategy. Or they haven't figured that out, but yeah. Clearly, you can see.
Yeah, no, Ruben is struggling for pace because Rahul is keeping up with him at this stage of the game as we cross start finish here. But that was a 145 from Ruben Espinosa. How much time did that cost him to Mark Anthony Eaton behind? Eaton did a 142 lap, and he is now about 7 seconds adrift of Luis Daniel Velez. Right, so I think I may have had some form of Freudian slip there. I was referring to the wrong driver throughout most of that segment, but I was referring to Luis Daniel Velez, who is in second position, and his fight with Mark Anthony Eaton. 6.2 seconds the difference between these 2 drivers. That fight there with...
Well, you have 10 minutes. Are we able to get that, given the tire difference? Are we able to get back that time.
Yeah, he's about 2 to 3 seconds a lap quicker than.
Here comes Eaton. Eaton's in between these two battles. Will these gentlemen be even kinder, or are they gonna continue punching themselves like rabid dogs in the street?
Well, I think the advantage.
No regard for anybody else around them.
Absolutely, but I think the advantage Eaton has here is that his tires are a lot fresher than Ruben Esteban.
Well, tires don't help if the car's right in front of you, you know?
No, but I'm saying with fresher tires, he may not have the same struggle that Velez had in trying to get by those cars, because you can still see Daniel Velez up there in the distance ahead of these two drivers, so he has not cleared off from them, whereas Mark Anthony Eaton has caught them fairly quickly. So we will see if they decide to let him by.
No, they haven't.
That is
set. There are two rabid dogs fighting in the street with no discretion around those around them. So, and rightfully so. But as I said, I'm sure the game is showing them blue flags. Oh, a little bit of contact there.
And Eaton now right with these drivers, and Davil Park needs to let him through there. Yep.
Again, I have to congratulate Mr. Eaton, because that's exactly what I would have done. That's exactly what I would have done.
Yeah, but at what cost? Because I think Eaton there has taken a bit of
the cost is damage. That you're going to get shouted at the steward. But you should have just... Anyway.
Yeah, no.
That's what blue flags are for.
Yeah, Eaton doing what was necessary there to get out of a little bit wide there in that section of the track, maybe pushing a little too hard. But 2.7 seconds the gap to Luis Daniel Velez ahead of him. And Eaton's last lap 3 seconds quicker than...
This is what happens when you have multi-class racing.
Yep.
You can't turn in when the faster car is behind you. There's a blue flag. Just back off.
No, absolutely. Davil Park was in the wrong there, and I don't blame Mark Anthony.
Who was he defending again? There was nobody. If he just backed off a bit, because the reality of the situation is that Nazir would have had to
do the same.
Would have had to do the same. So it would have just been a zero-sum game. But you just had to be difficult.
Yeah, no, certainly you have to learn that when you are racing in a multi-class series, you need to figure out, Rahul Nazir, they're having some contact, and is it bad enough that he has given Davil Park that position back? No, Park still some distance off, so I guess it was just minor contact there. But we will check in on the battle with Luis Daniel Velez and Mark Anthony Eaton in hot pursuit. And the gap now under 2 seconds, or just about 2 seconds, and Eaton is about 2 seconds a lap quicker, so we will certainly see what he has to offer.
At some point in time during the week, Mark figured out the tire differential.
Absolutely.
As did Moss.
Jaden Harrison putting in some fast laps, trying to close the gap there to Kurt Moss. The gap to Moss is Jaden right with Moss there, and there he goes. Right by Moss.
I don't think he hit him.
There was some contact there, maybe.
There was?
Yeah, there was some contact. And those two drivers not quite sure what took place there, as Kurt Moss kind of eased out to allow
Jaden, but then Jaden slowed to potentially give him back the position. But
there was some drama there with those two drivers. However, here we are, Mark Anthony Eaton right with Luis Daniel Velez. I keep trying to call him Ruben.
I just call him Velez.
Yeah, well, here we are through the final corner, and Eaton should be a lot quicker here.
He's got the deeper line.
Velez seems to have I think it looked intentionally, tried to slow Eaton down.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
You put your car you have the race line. You put your car where you are. You park your car, make it as wide as possible, but there's no hope here.
Yeah, no, Eaton too far back to make that move stick, although Velez running a little bit wide there, leaving the door open for Mark Anthony Eaton to attack around the outside. And
this is my goal. There we go. Got the grip, got the brake, got the race line. It's gonna
contact made. And
no problem. But there we go. Eaton has the pass. He is good.
Yes, sir. Mark Anthony Eaton there using that superior track grip to his advantage to make that move stick
But there
on.
is that 20 seconds to Barrera?
Absolutely
So
is.
there's nowhere that he's gonna make that back in under 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
But
But I think this is right back where he was several laps ago, maybe with just a little bit more drivable car. So I think that's the important factor here.
well, maybe the tire fall off from Barrera will be significant enough that, I mean, this is what? So we are doing 250, so that's 2 minutes a lap, so we have 2+ laps. But he's going after those curves absolutely aggressive. So clearly he feels now he has fresh air. He can push as much as he wants.
Yeah, well, Eaton will have about 3-ish laps in order to see what dent he can make in that gap.
So this is Espinosa in
Barrera.
front of us in the cup car. Let's see how this is going to go. Is he going to give him the easy time, or is it just Moss has an issue? Moss is heading down.
Yeah, I think Kurt Moss is calling it a day here, and that will put Jaden Harrison already in 4th position, ahead
Moss,
of Kimani.
Moss is pulled into the pits.
Yeah, it seems Kurt Moss has decided to retire from this race. Not sure what issues
Maybe
he
the
is
contact
having.
with some damage back there, or is he?
Yep, whatever it may be, Moss out, and with less than 3.5 minutes to go, Estefano Barrera looks to be sitting in control of this race, 19 seconds clear of Mark Anthony Eaton behind.
Absolutely impressed. He's made his tires last the entire race.
And he's only about a second off the pace that Mark Anthony Eaton is doing.
Is our cup car gonna just let does nobody understand what a blue flag is?
Evidently not. They're racing through and through here this afternoon. But
Didn't hold him up too much. Again, there is Mark. He's just crushing the curves like a go-karter. He is totally committed here. He seems to be flat on the throttle,
yeah,
taking advantage of those tires in the closing moments. He is gapping.
yes, Daniel Velez there falling back 2 seconds already over the span of about a lap.
So according to this, we would have one more lap left. So I don't think Barrera is going to
2
be
laps
back.
to go
Well,
because
2 laps,
Estefano Barrera has just started a new lap himself, and is about 19 seconds up the road from Mark Anthony Eaton. That gap not closing quite drastically. Eaton did about the same lap time as Estefano Barrera the last time around, and that will just be I think this is as far as Eaton will get, barring catastrophe, for Estefano Barrera ahead. And I think in about 2 laps time we will be crowning Estefano Barrera as the multi-class cup champion here.
Well, there's nothing but respect here, because I can say that if you pitted and you still finish second,
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no shame here.
Absolutely.
You basically took a 20-second gamble, and you're still able to be that close to the leader or finish second. You're
No, and Eaton has
clearly has the pace.
utilized this strategy all series long. This is not the first time we have seen him do this, and finds himself back on the podium having done so. So Eaton knew something the other drivers didn't. It's just that he could not make the kind of dent he needed in the leader at the time when it needed to happen, because he is a little bit quicker still than Estefano Barrera, but Barrera has managed to keep his tires going just long enough that he will secure the victory here. Even with that last lap being a 1:44, Eaton will come around the final corner, and I think he would have done a 1:41, which is about 3 seconds quicker than, well, it was a 1:42.9 actually. So he was about a second, second and change quicker than Estefano Barrera, but there's just not enough time on the
it's
clock.
not enough time here. We're down into the second year. 10,
Absolutely. This
20?
this is the penultimate lap. When Estefano Barrera crosses the line, there will be but 1 lap left to go, and
The man who's also had it all to himself, quite basically, is Mr. Paisley. As I said, he was the monkey that threw the wrench. But given the finishing order, I would think Nazir would have enough points ahead of Robinson to.
I don't think that. Well, we'd have to consult the point standings, but I'm not sure if that was enough, given that Roger Robinson won the last race and Rahul Nazir finished down in 5th position, I think. So
Nicholas Donaldson had a little.
having some contact there with the environment, so not sure what happened with him there, but a good drive from Nazir. That fight with Davil, what could have been if that fight continued had they known how to let blue flags by. It's unfortunate sometimes that you don't get to see these things.
As your mother would say, if you don't hear, you're going to feel. You saw the blue flag, you saw the big Lancer behind you. Back off.
Get out
Let
the
the
way.
man pass.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm sure the stewards have some issues, but at the end of the day, you had a blue flag. You should have let him pass. So there's no angels here. But I have to agree with Mark. I would have done exactly the same. Just a little tap in the rear there. Get him sideways, get him out of my way.
To borrow the second half of a phrase from Ludacris, get out the way.
Exactly. So this is our +1 lap.
Yep, so Estefano Barrero going through the end of Sector 1 here, starting Sector 2 in a moment's time. Well, has started Sector 2. Will cruise his way home to victory here this evening. He made it look easy, having not taken a pit stop.
Yes.
Where so much of the grid did decide that they
I
needed
would love
pit.
to see what his tire life would look like at this point in time. Are they even still green? But yes, clearly, and again, this is why we race with people at this level, because you need to be able to mix it up and match it up, and clearly Barrera.
I'm sorry. In just a moment ago, Ruben Espinosa took a pit stop, which promotes Rahul Nazir to 2nd position.
I'm confused. Why would he take a pit stop?
I am
He must have done it by
bewildered by that decision on the final lap of the race.
Okay.
Maybe out of fuel was the situation. But
Okay.
that could be the only thing that would give me any
So
kind
Michael
of...
Paisley weaves himself across the finish line to the checkered flag.
Yep, Estefano Barrero taking the victory in his class, as does Michael Paisley for his respective class. Eaton crosses the line to take 2nd position with a brilliant combat drive there, following his initial decision to trigger all of the pit stops. But a bewildering decision there from Ruben Espinosa to take the pit stop at that point in time, gifting Rahul Nazir, who will now come across the line.
Maybe there was some discussion
to
on the
take
Discord that
2nd
we're
position.
not. Some informal team orders. I don't know. You never know with these things. Maybe it was just an accident. Maybe he pressed the button by. Did he drive into the pits, or did he just?
It seems like he drove into the
Okay,
pits.
maybe he thought he was going towards the wall. Jaden had a little crash there.
As he is coming across the line to take that 4th position, and so that there are some confusing decisions here taken in this race towards the end.
I mean, it's the last day of school, and people are just doing silly things. So the people who need to win have won.
Absolutely. So Estefano Barrero takes the victory here today and the championship. Mark Anthony Eaton comes home to take P2 and P2 in the championship as well, followed by Luis Daniel Velez and
So we have
Jaden
2
Harris.
class leaders formation finished. Is that Paisley up front there?
Well, that seems to be all of the drivers coming together on the track.
Wait, is everybody disconnecting from the server?
It seems that way.
Or the server shutting down and kicking them off?
Yeah, no, that was a strange one there towards the end. I'm not quite sure how that all panned out in the situation at hand, but Certainly,
you know,
like you said, who needed to win one, and those drivers that needed to secure their champion. Yes, in the chat, you are correct. Estefano Barrero is the champion here this evening, taking the victory to secure the top spot in his respective class. And we will have to get the point standings for the second class, as Rahul Nazir got second position in the end there, and that would have resulted in him taking the fight back to Roger Robinson for the top spot. But we will figure out how that plays out. So we will be taking Luis Daniel Velez for an interview here now. Good evening, Luis. Can you hear me? I am okay, and how are you?
Great, just exhausted.
I can imagine. A good race from you with an intense battle there with Mark Anthony Eaton at the end. How did that race play out for you?
Yeah, that was hard. You know, I was hoping to be at least 4. I did not have a lot of training, and I just finished another race. And these guys are immensely high, the highest speed. But I saw that he was failing in the fast right turn. He was going outside several times. So once that he failed that turn one more time, that's where I have my opportunity. And I was able to keep up and just use the slipstream on the main straight and passed him. So yeah, hard race.
Absolutely, and I see you had some trouble with some of the other class drivers at one point that cost you some significant time there.
Yeah, those two guys were fighting for position, and you know the M2 sometimes is faster on some parts of the track than the Lancer, so I was just trying to pass them cleanly because both of them were fighting. But yeah, I lost a bit of time there.
Absolutely, and I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was your first championship with us here at the JSRA. How did you find the championship overall?
Oh, the championship was great. You guys are amazing. The league, the organization is amazing. All the people have helped me a lot here, guided me through how to sign in, how to race, give me some advice. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for bringing me here.
Well, I'm glad that you found it to be a great experience, and we do hope to have you in our future events as well.
Yeah, I'm in. As long as I have the time, I'm in.
I'm glad to hear it, Louise, and we do appreciate you spending the time to talk to us after the race, and congratulations again on taking P3.
Thank you so much, and again, thank you so much for inviting me. Great events. Let's keep going.
Appreciate it, Louise. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right. Okay, and that was Luis Daniel Velez, who took third position in this race. We will now be talking to the professor himself, Mr. Strategist, Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton. Mark, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Once again, making a bold call, and it worked quite well, just not well enough to get you on the top spot here this evening. Talk us through your race.
I did think pitting was the right strategy. Especially when I saw Kurt pit. I wasn't sure if he was doing that because of damage, but I did pick up the tires they're going at that point, so I dived into the pits. I was under the impression that everybody was gonna pit, but after about 10 minutes, if you weren't in the pits already, it made no sense. So Estefano just managed his tires as best as he could.
Absolutely, but you certainly had some overwhelming pace there towards the end. Talk us through that drive back through the field. You certainly had some interesting battles along the way.
Mostly just trying to get through the M2 class. I had a bit of a mishap with somebody. I'm not sure who it was.
That was Davil Park.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was pushing a little too hard and it understeered. Car understeered and he seemed to have kind of tightened up. and there is contact. So I just want to apologize for that. But
Yeah.
besides that, just getting by Daniel. Daniel put up a good enough fight. It's just getting kind of threading off going into corner one was how I and got up beside him.
Absolutely. Well, a good overall championship for you, managing to secure P2 here with that result. So, congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Thank you.
All right, that was Mark Anthony Eaton, P2 in the race and the championship. Next up, we have Michael Paisley. Michael, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I think you were a late starter in this championship, missing a couple of rounds, but overall, the races that you did participate in looked pretty good. How did you feel about the championship in general?
I thought the whole championship was great. You know, it was kind of unfortunate I wasn't able to make it in, I think, the first two races it was. But then, yeah, once I got back into it, I think I got second in my return back, and then third, and then this race was my first win in this championship. So, yeah, again, it's kind of bad to miss out, but I'm kind of setting a benchmark for the next events to come in the JSRA series.
Okay, so does that mean that you're back with us for the foreseeable future?
Oh, definitely.
It's good to have you back, and we do we appreciate the racing. But talk us through your race. It looked quite lonely for you here this evening.
Yeah, kind of like a Verstappen race. Yeah. Well, going into quali, I wasn't able to put in the best laps because I was still treating quali like a practice session. So, but once I got into the race, I got a good launch and I never looked back. I mean, I'm pretty sure all the laps I put together, all of them in the race were faster than my quali lap. So, I just felt at one with the car and just pushing. And even when Stefano lapped me, I was able to, in a way, kind of keep up with him. So the pace was definitely there today, and I'm really glad about it.
Okay, well, good racing overall, and we do appreciate having you back, as I said before. So we look forward to what comes next with you and the JSRA.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So that was Michael Paisley, the winner of the race here this evening. But we will now be talking to the winner of the championship, completing the championship on 76 points. The Artito Racing drive off, collaborating with the JSRA, Mr. Roger Robinson. Roger, are you with me? I have lost him. Trying again. Roger, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations, sir. Despite the rough going you had today, you have managed to secure a top spot in the championship overall.
Wow, I'm really surprised. How did I pull that off?
Well, Rahul did not manage to secure enough points. He would have needed to have won today in order to have unseated your current standing. So missed out by a couple of points, but again, congratulations. But what happened to you at the start there?
Yeah, so from yesterday, I've been having internet problems. So the LAN keeps chipping out every 10 or 20 seconds. It's random. So I tried it for the last time I was on the grid, but all of a sudden I disappeared. So I just quickly transferred to my phone. So I used my phone internet to just finish the race.
My goodness, that must have been with some serious lag.
Yeah. Actually, it was fine, I think. Maybe from my end, I think it was fine. Steady at 166 ping.
Okay, well, that's not so bad. But yeah, give us your thoughts overall on the championship having gone through to this point.
Yeah, it was, I came into this championship not expecting much. driving the car for the first time, I realized that it's a difficult car to drive, and I just needed to get used to driving it the way it's supposed to be driven. And by the first race, from practice, I really got a hang of it, and I was able to secure a podium for maybe all of the races except this one. But yeah, I'm really happy with the championship and having the championship.
Well, it was a great championship overall. You certainly give us some good action throughout, and we do appreciate your continued collaboration with us here at the JSRA.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be a part of the program.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Roger, and I'm sure we'll be in contact soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. That was Roger Robinson who managed to secure the championship, but we will now be talking to the driver from the CMRSC, sorry, Mr. Rahul Nazir. Rahul, are you with me?
Yep.
Well, a strange race today. You certainly had your fair share of battles out there. You want to talk to us about how that went down?
Yeah. Coming into this race, I didn't really have much experience with this track. I've done a bit of practice before, and yeah, cold tires on these cars throughout this whole championship was really a struggle, but it taught me a lot of things. And going into this race, it was all about doing my best. I know I was on the back foot of this championship, especially with how quick Roger was. In qualifying, when I was able to qualify him, I was like, you know what? At least there's a chance. And I took that chance and I fought hard. I was like, I'm gonna try to go for that win as best as I can. Unfortunately, yeah, Michael is just so quick around here, and yeah, I just could not keep up. Great fight with the other two drivers. I forgot the other name, but and DeVille.
Yeah.
Awesome fight with each other. Just couldn't keep my own. Me and DeVille did have a lot of good fights in that race as well. But yeah, P3 for the whole race until I'm not too sure what happened towards the end. I guess the driver had pitted. So
Yes.
he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know why he pit?
We don't have an answer for you, honestly. I have not been able to talk to him just yet. I suspect it may have been a fuel issue.
Really?
Yeah, but we are just as bewildered as you are as to why he took a pit stop at that stage of the game.
Yeah. Either way, though, I mean, I'll take what I can get. I'll take a and yeah, I don't know how the championship went, but I'd say whatever result I get, I'm happy I was able to be a part of a very, very good series. And yeah, loved it from start to finish.
Yep, so for the record, you are P2 in the championship, just 5 points shy of Roger Robinson. So we look forward to having you both back for the rematch.
All right, well, he takes round one then.
Absolutely, and again, congratulations, Raul, and it was a great pleasure having you in this championship with us.
Yeah, I love this championship. It was so much fun. And yeah, can't wait for the next chapter. And we'll see where this goes. I'm still hunting for that gold.
Absolutely.
Just you wait. I'll be there.
We appreciate the hunger, and we will certainly keep you informed as to what's coming up next.
Yeah, for sure, man. Loved it.
All right. Well, that wraps up our talks with these drivers, and certainly lots of action provided to us throughout this entire championship. Yeah. Any final thoughts for the audience there, Rory?
Wow. As you said, I'm speechless. You know, great racing. Not that we expected the result was what should have happened, but not what we expected.
Yeah.
Given the decisions and what we saw on track, it literally could have gone anyway. But yeah, there's a big cell phone in front of me a while ago. So. I'm just kidding. But yes, as you said at the end of the thing, it just ended very, very weird.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sorry that Mr. Paisley just joined at this point in time. Mark explained why he took his pit stop.
That was just his decision,
Decision,
for
okay.
strategy. But yeah, overall, it worked out as best he could. And yeah, it was a great championship. And we thank you all for tuning in. And as per usual, stay tuned to our social medias to see what is coming up next. As always, thank you for joining us. And we appreciate your time.